Chapter 10, Jenny. I sneaked on the bus at Western Avenue and Hurst Street and sat way in the back. I thought about Jenny in purely sexual terms. I wasn't worried about what I would say to her or how she was going to react when she saw me. I only thought about what I was going to do to her once I got her naked. My intentions were only to get her to have sex. When I got to Jenny's house, her brother Little Man and her sister Lisa were outside smoking a joint. Lisa was surprised to see me back from Puerto Rico so soon. She welcomed me with a hug and a kiss. Little Man yelled for Jenny to come down, that her boyfriend, the Lord, had arrived. I corrected him by telling him that I wasn't a Lord. At that point, some of his friends, who also belonged to the Latin Kings, arrived in a van. They said something about the gay lords needed to be taught a lesson. Little Man opened the side door of the van and pulled me inside with him. Before I had a chance to jump out, the van was speeding up Western, headed towards the gay lords' hood. The guys in the van asked Little Man about me. He told them that I was his sister's boyfriend and that he wanted to find out what I was about. He looked at me and said that he didn't want his sister going out with the punk. The guys told Little Man that a carload of gay lords had gone into Humboldt Park, beat up an older man, and tore the top half of his wife's clothes off. They did it simply because the couple was Puerto Rican. I got angry just hearing about this. In my mind, I thank God that my mother and sisters were in Puerto Rico. The gay lords hung out on the corner of Moffett and Campbell Streets. They also had a faction on Palmer Boulevard. I had never been there before and had no idea where it was located. When we got there, the gay lords were all over the place. The Kings had decided to get anyone they could. They didn't care who got hit as long as they were white. I looked out of a small window on the back side of the van and saw a wooden fence that was painted black. It had a Nazi cross with a swastika in the middle, an American flag on one side and a Confederate flag on the other. Above the cross was a ribbon with the word Palmer written inside it. Below the cross was another ribbon with gay lords written inside it. But what really caught my attention was the big bold writing in red paint that said, "The only good Puerto Rican is a dead Puerto Rican." I wondered what the Puerto Ricans had done to the gay lords that warranted such hatred. I was angry and my adrenaline rose to the point that I was telling the driver to stop the van so we could get a gay lord. I thought that the Kings were going to jump out of the van, grab a couple of gay lords, and beat the shit out of them. I grabbed a baseball bat that was lying on the floor of the van. I wanted to make sure that I hurt one of these assholes who thought I was only good dead. Little Man turned to me and told me that the bat was not going to be enough. He reached under a blanket, pulled out a shotgun, and told me to stay out of sight and to be ready for anything. I couldn't believe what was about to happen. These guys were actually going to kill someone. Little Man instructed the driver to pull up by the crowd that was on the corner and told the other guy to be ready to pull the side door open. I just sat there thinking, what the hell am I doing here? And then all of a sudden, the van stopped and someone inside flung open the door. Little Man's shotgun went off 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. Screams could be heard as we quickly drove away. My ears were ringing and my heart was beating 1,000 beats a minute. I was paranoid. We drove about 4 or 5 blocks and dumped the van in an alley. It was stolen, so it didn't matter. Little Man told me to wipe everything off I had touched. We walked out of the alley and got into a waiting car. These guys had no remorse whatsoever. They were laughing and joking about how the people who had got shot fell like bitches and how the motherfuckers had better not mess with the King's nation. I sat there petrified and grinned every time they looked at me, but I really didn't find it amusing. I confess that I wanted to hurt a white person just as much as the others did. However, killing was not something I had the desire to do. It was my first up-close lesson in street justice, Latinos hunting whites and vice versa. Innocent people like those who were attacked in the park by the gay lords were usually the victims. Racial hatred just seemed natural, as if it was somebody's right to kill others as long as the victim were of another race. Little Man went through the gangway on the side of his house. Jenny grabbed me by the hand and followed him. Lisa followed us. They led me through a door that led to the basement of the building they lived in. Little Man called to us from inside to hurry up and lock the door. The basement was well lit, with a lot of chairs and a table. There was a crown spray painted on the wall in black and gold, the colors of the Latin kings. Little man continued bragging about the shooting as he lit up a joint. He sent Lisa upstairs to get a bottle of wine that was in the refrigerator. Jenny asked me about the incident. I told her that I didn't want to talk about it. Little man told her that I wanted to jump out and hit a gaylord with the baseball bat. Jenny looked up at me, smiled, then kissed me. It seemed as if she was proud that I was involved in the crime. After that kiss, all I could think about was having sex with Jenny. The violence that had me so upset was completely gone from my mind. Lisa returned with the wine and handed it to me. I opened the bottle, took a big swallow, and then gave it to Little Man. He in turn gave me the joint. After the wine was gone, Little Man decided to leave. I was going to leave myself, but Jenny whispered in my ear to stay with her. Jenny and Lisa walked to the door, whispering to each other. Lisa left and Jenny returned and kissed me. We began kissing passionately while undressing each other. Soon we were both naked, and all the things that Maria had taught me about pleasing a woman were running through my mind. It was a matter of what to do first. Jenny must have thought that I was scared or something because she told me not to worry, that Lisa was watching out for us. I wasn't scared, I was anxious. I was so anxious that I picked her up, laid her on top of the table, and got to the business of having sex. Jenny was a virgin. Maria had not prepared me for that. I was really having a hard time and was unable to penetrate her, so I tried to perform oral sex on her. Jenny grabbed me by the hair and pulled me up towards her face, saying, "Don't do that." Again, I eagerly tried to penetrate her, but I couldn't. Fortunately, Jenny was patient and eager to lose her virginity. I began thinking about the things Maria had told me. "Take your time. Look at what you're doing so you can enjoy yourself," Maria had said. Finally, I controlled myself enough to realize what I was doing wrong and was able to penetrate Jenny. It was over almost as quick as it started. I wanted to do it again, but Jenny said no and that there would be other times. Then she began to get dressed. After we had sex, Jenny asked me what I would do if she became pregnant. I was startled by the question. I had never really given that possibility any thought. Jenny looked at the expression on my face and started laughing. She told me that she had told Lisa about wanting to have sex with me long before I tried to talk her into it. Lisa got her some birth control pills and taught her how to use them. Jenny invited me up to her house to wash up before I left. She told me not to worry, that her parents had probably gone out anyway. After I cleaned up, Jenny led me into her bedroom. Immediately, I laid Jenny on her bed and started pulling off her clothes. Jenny wrestled herself away from me and demanded I stop. She took me to the window and told me that if I could get up there, I could have sex with her anytime I wanted to. The anger that was building up inside of me because of her rejection turned into a smile. I knew climbing up to Jenny's bedroom window would be no problem at all. I kissed her and told her that I would see her later on that night, then walked to the bus stop. It was almost 10 p.m., but that didn't matter. I had no curfew. My first sexual experience, aside from Maria, was not all that I had expected. Maria prepared me for everything except being too young to have sex to begin with. What happened between Jenny and me when I was 14 was more of a wrestling match than it was making love. The episode left me confused and somewhat embarrassed. Why did Jenny freak out when I went down on her, when Maria had said that oral sex was something women love?